Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric and Chad here with Iraq Veteran 8888. Today we've got another 5 guns video for you. We're going to be talking about 5 guns that you should probably buy before an election occurs. Yeah, I know. We're probably going to draw some hatred on this one, okay? Because some people are like, oh, you guys are fear-mongering and you're trying to scare people into buying stuff. No, that's not what this is about.
People are already scared into buying stuff.
People already are scared of buying into stuff because of the whole thing in Orlando and all. This is kind of touching on that a bit, but also during an election, there sometimes can become a shift in power that develops. One type of president might be replaced by another equally crappy president, or one type of president's replaced with somebody who has vastly different views than the president who's currently in office. So sometimes that balance of power can go one of 2 different ways. It can either go, hey, we're going to get more pro-gun laws and things are going to kind of go a little smoother for people that think the way we do, or you might get someone who's even worse and you may end up with some really crummy gun laws on the books. Clinton ban.
Power shifts in Congress, and then you've got particular party president, and then a particular party Congress, and then stuff can just get hammered through and nobody cares.
Correct. So if you were somebody who was wanting to possibly invest in certain gun or get something cool, typically the kind of guns that get looked at the hardest when it comes to these bans and all these other obligatory crap that doesn't make any sense are usually going to be semi-automatics of some form or fashion. And
they're going to be black.
They're going to be black rifles. So there's going to be a couple of these here that we're going to talk about. These are our top picks. If I had to go out and buy 5 guns before an election because of the before mentioned reasons, what would I buy?
Well, number 1, black rifles. Okay, and the black rifle is pretty much ubiquitous with an AR-15. All right, so this one's kind of tricked out. This is my 11.5-inch SBR, and I've got it suppressed with an M4 2000 from AAC. It's got a BCM KMR rail on here, BCM 11.5-inch barrel. Got a Surefire flashlight on here. This is an M600, very, very high quality, tactical style flashlight. Got a momentary on switch here for my flashlight and for the D-ball unit if I want to run like the Steiner D-ball on here for nighttime use with a PVS-14. Got a Trijicon MRO. Magpul appointments, Yultor appointments, BCM charging handle. I'm trying one of the Gemtech suppressed bolts in here, but this is kind of like an upper tier build, and this is, like I said, this is a self-defense, home defense, life and liberty style gun.
Or varmints.
Or varmints. I mean, I've actually used this particular rig for foxes and coyotes before with the D-ball, which is insane, but right. If you don't want to get a complete rifle or some sort, receivers. Okay, receivers are wonderful investments. You can go out, if you want to go out and buy 3 or 4 or 5 receivers because you're planning on doing several different builds. Say you want to put together a varmint rifle. Say you want to put together a life and liberty rifle. Say you want to put together a pistol. Well, here you go. This is where you start from. And then buy the components as you go. And sometimes during these cycles, it's hard to find components because everybody's buying them up. The demand skyrockets, and the manufacturers cannot keep up with that demand. And then you start to see product shortages, and then, everybody's buying them because there's gun scares and all this. And
well, I will admit also that on the end of receivers and everything is that the market is probably overly flooded with receivers. Anderson has done some good and bad things. I mean, one thing, they've kind of marginalized their own product by selling them so cheap, but the quality of this product is worth more than what you pay for it.
Oh, God,
so as a result, you end up having an excellent receiver, which this is the firearm for very little money. Guys, this is a great thing that you can kind of take this and give it to a buddy. If somebody's on the fence about buying an AR, give them a receiver, and they're going to look at that receiver, and if they're anything like any regular guy, they're going to go, all right, how am I going to build that into something? Like, it plants that little seed. This receiver's a little seed. You just plow the earth away and just go, bloop, and it goes, whoop, 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 and it poops out an AR, and there you go. So,
depending on how much you water it, what kind of, food you feed it, it can grow into a 20-inch rifle, or it could be a 7-inch pistol. You never know.
Where do AR-15s come through?
I'll be honest with you. Every rifle that I own, every AR, I've built it. I've never bought just an off-the-shelf rifle. I always build them, and I'm always going nuts because I think about, how can I make this better?
That's right.
But if you don't want an AR,
Okay, so rolling into number two, this is a
that's
Tavor.
Kind of, well, it's kind of 1.5.
It's kind of one, yeah, exactly. So, you know, the Tavor is an excellent rifle. You don't have to go with the Tavor. You can go with any kind of bullpup or anything that's not an AR. This is a rifle I chose because it's the not an AR category. And guns that are in the not an AR category have actually been pretty popular.
Very popular.
ARs are great, but they are kind of the Honda Civic of rifles. It's America's rifle. There's many, many, many people that love the AR-15, myself included. But some people might want an option to use AR-15 Stanag mags, but have a more compact package. This rifle is a very similar length to Chad's SBR and doesn't require any form of special paperwork like an SBR would, because the overall length is bam, right at 26 inches, there she is. Okay, and that's barrel length and everything included. So this also has a rail system that can take flashlights, like this KM3 that's on here with a pressure switch. This is kind of my nighttime bump in a night, what was that kind of gun or whatever. It's topped off with a Mepro M21, which is a good pairing for this particular rifle. And you know, the Tavor, you know, they have the X95s out now. This is one of the older, you know, standard Tavors, which is fine. A lot of people prefer it. Also, in a bullpup, you can't really run drums as easily as you could with something like an AR because of the location of the mag wells way back in your shoulder. So enter a PMag right here. That's a 40-round PMag with the Terran Tactical Extension, and I can tote 46 rounds of 5.56.
Plus one.
Plus one, thank you. 47 rounds, and then I can have that still fit flush in my Tavor here, and I've got almost 50 rounds on tap. Now, granted, this is not a cheap magazine as pictured, but that is a way that you can get a higher round count in something like a Tavor because you can't run the drums really.
Yeah, one of the other good things about bullpups, if you guys don't know, is Eric mentioned, you know, you get the legal barrel length of 16 plus inches.
And the overall length.
And the overall length. Now, this 11.5-inch gun here, it's good to about 75 to 100 yards with M855, okay? I'm getting like 2,800 feet per second out of this barrel. Well, you still get full velocity out of this platform, and even when you add a suppressor to it, it's still a nice short package, which some people might want to do. That's great. That makes that an actual like battle rifle, if you will. I mean, that's a good 300, 400, 500
and
yard
the
gun.
balance, the weight and the balance is really well balanced. And it's one of those types of guns that when you go out to the range and everything, all your friends are like, "Ooh, wow,
what's that?"
Yeah, this one's got the Geisley trigger in it with their lightning bow and their Geisley trigger pack. This is an excellent rifle. I've been very, very happy with it. And it's one of those things that scratches the itch of not an AR. So there's two 5.56 variants right out the gate. What would someone move on to next?
Well, you think about the popularity of rifles and whatnot, but really self-defense in general is very, very popular right now. And what do people buy for self-defense more than handguns?
Right.
Nothing. Okay?
Absolutely.
So buying a high-capacity handgun, okay, something that's not a handgun that was regulated in Clinton ban with 10 rounds. This is an 18-shot CZ75 SP01 Tactical, and this is the new for 2016 Urban Gray. It's a mixture of gray and FDE, and this is an awesome, awesome gun, and I've got it suppressed here with a Griffin Revolution 9 from Griffin Armament in the K configuration. Really, really awesome setup. This is an all-steel gun, very high quality, high night sights. It's got the decocker on it, kind of a redesigned grip, rubberized grip panels. This thing is just sweet. I love it. 18 shots plus one, so 19 shots in your hand.
Absolutely.
So, but really any handgun, like Glock 17s, Glock 19s, we always talk about the Glocks. Glocks are the Honda Civic of handguns.
They are.
Like ARs are just Honda Civics themselves. But there's a lot you can do with the Glock and everything, but what I like so much about these type of pistols is that right out of the box, they're just of as much high quality as you would want, and there's really nothing that needs to be changed. This has a pick rail on the front, so I can drop my little Surefire X300 on there.
Whatever you want.
And go to town. I mean, you're good. So
handguns are an excellent investment, and I've been telling people that for many years, even beyond like the concept of this video and everything. Handguns represent an incredible investment. They're always going to hold their value. In terms of a defensive firearm, they're probably the most universal and generally accepted personal defense firearms, not to mention the most common that you're going to encounter. I mean, most guys who are not gun people and they go to buy a gun for the first time generally are either going to buy some type of a shotgun or they're going to buy a pistol and then generally going to call it good. Now, what if somebody wants a battle rifle? Let's move up the line. So this is choice number 3.
So you think about ARs and Tavors and such, all right, 5.56. Well, if you want something with more punch, you get something in 7.62 by 51 NATO or 308. One of my big choices is a FAL variant, and this one is actually this is a DSA SA-58 paratrooper. So this is a 308 battle rifle, if you will, semi-automatic, has a folding paratrooper style stock, accepts standard metric pattern magazines. We've got 20 rounders and we got 30 rounders. Ooh, yeah. But this one has a 16.5-inch barrel, I believe, and it's got the shorter like carbine length gas system. Acts just like a regular FAL. It's piston driven, very, very reliable. This is still one of the most used rifles around the world as far as defense forces and such. It's not an antiquated design by any stretch of the imagination, and DSA has been doing a lot to kind of modernize it, and I absolutely love that rifle.
You can't go wrong with an FAL, guys. Pretty much anything I would say on this is going to mirror what Chad says. There's a lot of things that kind of fit the battle rifle category. I mean, you've got SCARs, AR-10s,
G3s.
You've got G3s, you've got FALs. You've got any number of random 308s like Kel-Tec RFB, some of the more odd ones, some of the Desert Tech offerings that are kind of coming out. So there are some awesome things that fit the battle rifle category well, but one of the charms of this gun, in my opinion, is the iron sights. You don't ever have to worry about anything drifting around or moving around. The iron sights on this gun are always going to be solid and awesome. If you can shoot well, you got decent eyesight, you can shoot these things out to, this gun here could probably go for 5, no problem.
Oh yeah, we shot it at 400 at the 22-inch round one day just from the bench, and it was just delivering the goods. And buddy of mine was telling me that he took out his M-Bell the other day, which is a 20-inch FAL, and they were shooting 800 yards with it, no problem.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what they're meant for. I mean, that round can sail out there and it can pack a punch even that far out, whereas a 5.56, not so much.
So AR, not an AR, battle rifle and 308. All right, what about shotguns? I mean, one of the things that people I feel, kind of fail to recognize is that when these gun bans and all this mess start getting talked about, that semi-auto shotguns are affected as well. And, semi-auto shotgun, auto-loading shotgun's a really cool thing to have, especially if, let's say that you've got a wife or a young person in your family that maybe can't handle a pump shotgun has a certain manual of arms that you have to really kind of know how to use it and get familiar with it to use it properly, and especially in a tactical or home defense situation, it requires a little more skill to be able to run a pump reliably. But an automatic, generally the gun self-loads, they cycle pretty quick, you can shoot them quick, the recoil impulse, especially on these Benellis, is so
really
easy
smooth
and laid back. They're very smooth guns to shoot and usually pretty generous capacity. So tell them about your M2 there.
Yeah, well, I always pick a Benelli because I think that a Benelli is like the epitome of semi-automatic shotguns, and the reason we choose a semi-automatic shotgun is because those are the guns that are gone after in bans and things like that, and it's just a good idea to invest in a semi-automatic shotgun, whether it be a Benelli or a Mossberg 930 or even a Remington 1100. But to me, the inertia system of the Benellis is one of the best out there, and these actually represent kind of a middle-of-the-road pricing structure. So you can find these new for around like $1,100 to $1,200. If you get lucky, you can be like me and buy one for like $8. And I bought the tactical model, so it came with the Benelli factory pistol grip stock, ghost ring sights. And this is actually got a Nordic Components extension on here, so I've got 7 shots in the tube.
That's their mag clamp, right?
That's their mag clamp too. So I've got a little pick rail on here. I can put a Surefire light or something, and then I've got a little spot for the pressure pad. But you've got 7 shots in the tube, 1 on the lifter, and then 1 in the chamber, so you can ghost load it. So I can have 9 shots in this gun.
Ghost gun?
Ghost load.
I'm kidding.
All right, DeLeon. But anyways, like Eric mentioned, semi-autos are really easy for smaller statured people to handle and whatnot, and they don't require the manual of arms like a pump does. And my wife loves my Beretta 1201 FP. It's a similar shotgun to this. It's basically a clone of a M1 Super 90.
Lightweight to boot.
Very, very lightweight, like 6 pounds. And with low velocity, like buckshot loads, that thing will cycle it all day long, like some of the flight control stuff from Federal. And she can pack a wallop with that gun if she needs to, and she is very comfortable with it and knows how to operate it. And
I tend to find myself liking the ghost rings.
I love the ghost rings, and the reason we didn't show the M4 is because M4 is a niche shotgun, and it is kind of the epitome of combat shotguns. I mean, not to say that a magazine-fed, like box-fed shotgun like a Sega or an Origin 12 or like the new DDI 12s or anything aren't good, but to me, these represent like ultimate reliability. I mean,
And don't be scared to go out there and pick up a Mossberg 930 either.
Oh, yeah.
You can get the Jerry Michulik competition model that's got an over travel adjustment that's awesome for the trigger. It's got like a tuned trigger on it. It's got the kind of elongated and kind of knurled knob for the charging handle, which is awesome. And that's a great shotgun for the money, and it's well south of $1,000
Yep.
brand new. So Mossberg does a great job of offering a semi-automatic shotgun. That's not a ton of money, so don't be afraid to look into those either.
Yeah, and the reason we show this is because it's combat shotgun. I am a huge fan of combat shotguns.
Yep.
You know, I mean, I still need some for my collection personally, but this is the kind of stuff that is gone after in election cycles and with gun bans and things like that. So.
All right, well, last but not least, this is number 5 on the list, is some type of AK variant. This is a DDI AK-47. It's outfitted with a 75-round drum magazine. These are actually Korean produced, so these drums can be had for pretty reasonable money, and they work, okay?
That makes it more deadly.
Well, yeah, exactly. We've got an Aimpoint T2 Micro here on, who makes that mount again?
That's RS Regulate.
That's an RS Regulate mount, so ultra low profile mount that's on that gun, gets that red dot sitting nice and low so you don't have that whole chin weld. We've got a Hogue grip on this thing, Hogue 4N, an ATI stock, and this is a factory AK-47 made by DDI. There are a lot of people in the AK game that are producing AK-47s. You might decide to go the AK-74 route versus the AK-47. The Veprs are excellent if you're into converting one of those. Some of the Sega offerings out there, if you want to do like a 922R conversion on a Sega, it's definitely a good way to go. Some of the older Mac 90s, if you can find a Chinese Mac 90 that's not beat to hell,
Man, those things are great.
they are great guns. Some of the Egyptian Mahdi's are excellent guns if you can find them. In terms of current producers of an AK, I would look strongly, if you're wanting a good quality one, probably at the Veprs. I'd look at the DDIs for a good entry-level unit. Century does a pretty good job with the C39 V2. It's an all-milled AK-47. They use Green Mountain barrels, which are the same barrels that are run in the DDI as far as I know. So Green Mountain is producing a lot of the barrels for these. Stay away from any Century gun that uses a military barrel. And they'll tell you all day long that they're not military barrels, but they are. They're not heat treated properly. They're going to be a melty thing that's not going to stay together well. I would invest the extra money in something a little bit higher quality, or get one of the C39 V2s from Century, which is a wonderful gun.
I do like that gun a lot.
It is a nice AK if you're wanting a really good standard AK. The RAS 47s, I don't know if I would really put too much stock in those, but the C39 V2 is a pretty solid gun, and they're not that much more expensive than an RAS.
They're all American made too, milled receiver and everything, and
Yeah.
they've got a really nice 2-stage trigger, which I really like. I'm a big fan of that. But
Exactly.
so what's our wild card?
Well, you know, the one thing that we didn't mention, we always have a wild card in every 5 Guns video, so we didn't mention like a pistol caliber carbine. What we've got here is a CZ Scorpion, okay? It's a 9mm, and these things are just great. They'll feed from a 20 and 30 shot magazine. Now, granted, it is a proprietary magazine, so it's not going to have really any cross compatibility with anything else other than this gun. However, this is one of the new 2016 models that just came out this year. It's got 18mm flash hider that's on there, but then up underneath you got a 1/2x28 threaded section as well, so you can run some of the standard American muzzle devices, suppressors, what have you.
Yeah, they answered to consumer demand on
They
that
did,
one, so.
and big kudos to CZ there. And guys, I'm going to tell you right now, this is one of the best things in the market right now if you're wanting a semi-automatic type, personal protection, PDW type thing. This makes probably one of the least expensive SBRs you can possibly make. Got one right behind me here. You probably can't see it in the camera here, but the CZ Scorpions are great. I love them. They run great. They're very modular. The design of this firearm lends itself to an extreme amount of modularity, which in the future, maybe caliber conversions are possible. A few things like that. Different trigger packs, different mag wells. The way these things disassemble and break apart is very intuitive and simple.
Very simple.
And this is a great firearm to teach anybody how to use a pistol caliber carbine with. You can leave it in pistol form and run an arm brace if you want. You can put it in SBR form and run a folding stock. the choice is pretty much yours. But there's my wild card.
Yeah, or they do have rifle variants of these out now with full length, 16-inch barrels. They've got one that's got a full length barrel with a flash hider on it. Then
I love those handguards too.
Yeah, and then they've got another one that's kind of a 10-inch barrel, or it's a 16-inch barrel, but then it's got a faux suppressor shroud on it, so it looks like it has a suppressor, but it really doesn't. But they're doing some really cool stuff. And like Eric said, I mean, that is such an inexpensive platform. I mean, I've got several $1,000s in my G9 SBR, my 9mm AR that I've got, and for less than $1,200, you could set that up with an optic.
That may not be an option for everybody.
No.
I mean, if you want a good entry-level 9mm AR, I mean, well, not an AR, but a 9mm pistol caliber carbine, this is a great option. Or you can go with like one of the Gen 2 Kel-Tec Sub 2000s that takes Glock mags.
Yeah, $400 when you can find them.
Exactly. If you're a Glock kind of guy and you're really into a Glock mag fed carbine, you can run a Kel-Tec Sub 2000 Gen 2 with maybe a suppressor if you want, or other 5x28 muzzle device, and pretty much be good to go.
Yep.
So, that's pretty much how it goes there. So there's our 5 guns to buy before an election. You guys probably recall a video we made a couple of years back where we talked about guns to buy before a potential ban. This video kind of mirrors those needs pretty closely because, all right, just because an election's coming up, does it mean that another gun ban's coming? Probably not. But you've seen the recent actions that the Democrats have made, like the sit-in and all this crap and trying to force a vote on gun control and everything. So the writing is kind of on the wall. I mean, we're not certainly trying to scare anyone into doing something or buying something, but the writing's kind of on the wall.
The thing is, the fear's already there, and people are already kind of getting smart, and they're going out and they're buying guns. But, these guns represent what anti-gunners look at as evil firearms, scary guns that have...
They look scary.
They only have one purpose to these type of people, and, there's a lot that you can do with these guns, on other sides. And besides, that's this is kind of one of those things that you buy these guns for fun, personal protection, whatever the case is. I can hunt with this if I wanted to, but that's not the point, is it?
Nope, it certainly isn't. Well, thank you guys for watching. I would certainly encourage y'all to sign up for our email list. Do it. We are always posting all kind of neat things out to our email subscribers. We've got a newsletter we put out about every other week or so. We've been trying to put out that's been actually pretty successful. We're only in like our 3rd installment now, so it's not... we haven't done a ton of them, but the newsletter's been going great. We talk about everything from like little gunsmithing hacks, little prepper things. I talk about prepping a little bit, and we also kind of show some up-and-coming, behind-the-scenes kind of stuff that's going on with the channel. So that's free. All you have to do is just sign up for the email list. Also, the email list will allow you to stay in touch with things like man-can announcements, if we ever run specials or odd lots of product that maybe we had extra and we're going to blow out for cheap. Make sure you are on our email list so you know kind of what's out there. You can help support the channel and get some free information in the process as well. So we have many more videos on the way, all kinds of stuff, 5 guns, firearms facts, reviews, gun gripes, you name it. We probably do it if it's related to guns. So thank you so much for watching today's video, and we'll catch you next time.
See you guys later.